And we're live. Okay, so it's my birthday. I just had a little bit to drink, but not too much, like 2 ounces. I don't got a whole lot to do today with COVID and not being able to get a job because I got a DUI. Things are a little bit rough. But while I'm waiting for people to get on, I might as well just tell a little bit of a story about getting a DUI. I was driving around drinking. I went to a bar, I was drinking, drove around drinking, went to a party drinking, drove around drinking, stopped beside a fire truck and said, "Hey, what's going on? Do you guys need help here?" Because they're stopped beside a crack house, a known factual crack house. And he says, "Have you been drinking?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Turn off your car." I said, "Should I turn over?" He said, "No." So I didn't. And then the cops came and they towed my truck. Anyways, I'm completely against driving in general because non-renewable resources destroy the environment. Most people know that about me. But since we're just waiting for people to come on live, I'm just trying to spill this out as quickly as possible. We'll just wait a little bit of a moment here. Gonna turn on some music in the background. In the meantime, I guess the primary reason why I want to start this is because looking for a bunch of people on the internet can be difficult from time to time. To talk about how creation is scientific fact, how Christianity is a scientific fact, how evolution is not a scientific fact, how we can debunk racism in a lot of ways, and how we can prove racism in a lot of ways, how we can completely discriminate against capitalism, and there's no way to support capitalism, how the entire world is being destroyed, etc., etc. I'm going to get some music going in the background. Now, usually I just play a bunch of the same lists over and over again, which is pretty sad. But especially since like the city radio is nice when it plays something different. But I think I'm going to do that anyways. In fact, what's actually ridiculous is I created lists on my YouTube, just like stuff that I like, and I'm pretty sure it makes it known to like everyone else. So it's like really stupid in that sense. There's nothing private about it. But anyways, since we're supposed to be proving creation is a scientific fact, I'm going to do a little bit of Toby Mac here in the background because that guy's pretty slick. He's actually really, really slick for who he is and what he does. Anyways, so I don't talk about it too much for a few different reasons. Number one, because I have talked about it and I'm willing to talk about it. And because I don't like spoon-feeding trolls. When you spoon feed a troll, the problem that you get is then they behave as though they're intelligent enough to relay the information, and they can manipulate and exploit their audience. And you don't want to facilitate a troll's capacity to manipulate and exploit people. So it's best to not spoon feed them. And the problem with a troll is you can tell a troll from the first thing that they say, and they won't change. No matter how much you hope or anticipate that they might smarten the fuck up. And apologies my language here because I said it so it's pro for people under the age of 17. But you anticipate they're going to smarten up, and they're not. They never will. You know how long it takes for something to sink in before someone's genuinely going to change their demeanor and their constitution and their composure? It takes forever. It's like they're not going to do it in the same sitting, and they're not going to do it in a week. Every single time they come back to the conversation, they're just going to type the same thing, even if they take a week to write it. They're a bunch of douchebags. So you don't want to spoon feed people. But if you take a globe, for example, it's really, really, really easy with a globe. If you measure all the distances on the coastline between predicted variations in the geography, 100% of the coast completely line up. You remove all the surface area of all saltwater bodies simultaneously and predictably, every single corner, every angle, every distance between the angles, 100% perfectly line up, literally proving the planet burst open like a piece of popcorn because there is not one foul on the entirety of the globe for this formula. Now, I'm halfway through a song and no one's showing up here, so I'm like thinking maybe I'll just like log off and leave this as a thing because my stomach burns a little bit. I had like an ounce and a half of gin after like a Palm Bay, and the Palm Bay wasn't feeling good at all in the first place. So I like burning my breath really, really, really hard, right? I completely run out of breath, and in the end, it just kind of makes my stomach burn that much more. But okay, when I do push-ups and when I do squats and everything, I hold my breath because you can exercise your pancreas. I think it's your pancreas. I can be wrong about it being your pancreas. It might be something else that's down in there. Something like, not your liver, but I'm just going to call it your pancreas. There's an organ in there that stores oxygen and distributes it to your blood. And you can exercise it. And so when you exercise it, you will store more oxygen in your body for a prolonged period of time, which isn't immediately distributed throughout your body. So you actually have a longer lung capacity and you have increased fatigue. And so I always hold my breath when I do everything. But man, I got like some killer heartburn right now. I feel like drinking some more. Maybe that'll solve my problem. Or, maybe eat breakfast. It's my birthday. I'm 21. Fuck. Anyways, yeah. So creation, it's a scientific fact. You just measure 100% of the coast of the planet and all the distances and all the angles perfectly line up to prove that the planet blew up from within itself. Now, aside from that, obviously evolution has zero science to it whatsoever, and they can't date rocks. They don't date rocks. They don't really date anything. I actually don't even believe in DNA testing. I'm pretty sure they just took some black guy and said, you know what? We had no evidence he was guilty. You're innocent. And now they fearmonger all criminals and saying, well, shut, you leave some sperm in a pussy, we'll nail you for rape. And I think it's 100% bullshit. Guaranteed. I feel like talking in the chat, just leave some like little thumbnails here or something for when someone has something to say. You can rewind to this point for creation. Yeah, creation was really easy to prove. I would tell a story, but the thing about having anecdotes to back up your logic of how you came to prove something, then people can use those stories, and then all of a sudden you can't use your own story. I have used those stories before. It's just very seldom that you're not going to find them unless you try. And my YouTube account got destroyed because I said people who cut grass are worthless pieces of shit who deserve to be cut. No, not cut. To be shot to death. But there's a logic behind that, right? Because it's not justifiable to kill people because they bulwark their society. They have preemptive and preliminary defenses, and they incriminate radicals, and they incriminate malcontents, and they incriminate people. And so you can't go and you can't try and start something that isn't going to succeed and expect to accomplish anything. That's rash and it's condemned. It's a blasphemous offense to be rash. But whether or not you do it, because you shouldn't be doing it, it's not tolerable for you to do it, it's not acceptable for you to be doing it, they're 100% worthless pieces of shit, and they should be shot. And if you don't agree with that, you don't agree with God. They're not allowed to shit in the water. That's a blasphemous offense. They're not allowed to eat the hormone-saturated animal blood. That's a blasphemous offense. They're not allowed to participate in the same market as atheists. That's a blasphemous offense. They're not allowed to have finances. That's a blasphemous offense. There's a limitless amount of blasphemous offenses concerning their negligence to participate in the politics of society and in the politics that they do actually participate in. And they literally should be shot. That is the position you are obligated to take to guarantee that you don't take that position and that you don't support that position. You don't facilitate that position. It doesn't mean that you should be shooting them. That's just insane. You'd be fucking retarded. The first thing is we'd lose that war, and then the next thing you know, we'd have a 0% rate of success, and God's going to destroy the planet when we have 0 rate of success. And it's not something that we want. Because you're going to be prosecuted for promoting there being a 0 rate success. That's when God's at his angriest, not when God's like satisfied with you know what, we're going to start over. Hey, let's just press the button now. That's when you're a fucking piece of shit. So you don't press the button. Anyways, I'm still just waiting kind of here for people to come in. I don't think I'm going to wait much longer. Because if I'm like not at the screen, someone signs in, who's going to sit around and like just rewind and see what I was saying, right? And not to mention, oh, holy crap, someone just signed in. I was just talking about someone signing in and me walking away. Oh, and they signed up. But the point is, who's going to rewind and see, what's being said? Because, it's really hard to say something to people that people are actually going to want to listen to. Most people don't listen to shit. But, yeah, Trump's entire campaign was all about him being anti-lobbyist, really. He was trying to promote America's lack of lobbyism, which is really, really, really hard problem to resolve because the bank finances, you pay taxes to subsidize your local utilities and to subsidize your police and to subsidize your education. You pay taxes to subsidize all these things, but that money is substantiated by the desolation of the environment and by banks. And those banks are European banks. Those are bourgeois banks. And so when you're trying to change an entire system, which is really integral to the system itself, because it's like an antivirus system, which is attached to every little file in your computer, like this terrible thing that's just eating up half your RAM power. Well, that's something that's really, really hard to beat, especially when the other people who are in the government already, who are planted by other government parties, have no interest in letting you win regardless, because you're going to look like you're the hero of the nation. You'll be like, fucking Pelosi, she should just be shot. I mean, yeah, peel the skin off Obama and peel the skin off Trudeau and artificially sustain their lives while they're impaled with a pike out in the open public. But just shoot Pelosi. Anyways, peace.